आता खबरो विस्तारान. हालींच राज्यांत 4 फेब्रुवाराक विधानसभेच्यो निवडणुको जाल्यात आनी ताचो निकाल अजून जाहीर जाल्लो ना. विधानसभेच्या 2 अधिवेशनां मजगतीं 6 म्हयन्यांचो काळ जायत जरी आयलो तरी मतदानाचो निकाल मतदान पेटयेंत आसतना विधानसभा अधिवेशन जावप योग्य न्हय. हो मुद्दो सद्याक तरी वादाचो न्हय म्हण ॲडव्होकेट जनरल आत्माराम नाडकर्णी उलयला. आरडेक्स गुवाहाटी पणजेच्यान संजय मनोहली.
Basically, constitutionally speaking, it's a non-issue. Assembly is required to be convened by the governor based on the recommendation of the Council of Ministers, headed by the Chief Minister. That's the constitutional provision. The Chief Minister and the Council of Ministers are answerable to the Assembly. The key to the purse is also held by the Assembly. He has to have the confidence of the House to run the government. That is for running the government. That is why there is a provision in the Constitution that between the 2 sessions of the Legislative Assembly, there should not be more than a gap of 6 months. Okay? Now that's a constitutional provision. What has happened in the present case? The last session was on an X date. In between, the elections have intervened. Elections are held neither by the governor nor by the Council of Ministers. They are supervised, controlled and declared and regulated by the Election Commission of India. Election Commission of India, because of certain other phases of elections in some other states, so that the result should not affect the prospects of those candidates, have fixed 11th of March as the date for counting. Now true it may go a little beyond, but just please note, when was the last assembly constituted by the Election Commission of India? The last assembly was constituted after Parikar was sworn in and the Election Commission declared the constitution of the assembly. So the assembly goes on for a period of 5 years after being elected. Calling of a session, I'll propose a converse proposition to you. Would it be fair, proper and reasonable for the governor or the Council of Ministers now, when the fate of the candidate is sealed in the electoral boxes, to call a session and make a mockery out of it and pass what, budget in this session? So if somebody wants to do mere politics, no, dissolve the assembly. Dissolve for what? Assembly term is getting over. Dissolution of assembly is for 2 purposes. One, when the governor dissolves on the recommendation of the Council of Ministers. 2, when a presidential proclamation is issued under Article 356, if there is a breakdown of constitutional machinery. This is not a case of breakdown of constitutional machinery. This is not a case of failure of the government to call the session within 2 months, within 6 months. It is the Election Commission's date. So the Constitution is a very... True it is that these are all mandatory provisions, but mandatory for the purpose of following in true spirit of the Constitution, not for the purpose of making some mockery. It doesn't matter for the simple reason the government cannot transact a business and would not and should not transact a business in the session when the new assembly has already been voted for. What if the results were declared? Between 4th of February was the election, right? 4th of February. 4th of February till 11th March, any day if the results were declared, a new assembly would have come. So people have already voted, exercised their franchise. So under these circumstances, for the present government to call a new session would not be proper.
So is the demand of the opposition genuine?
See, it is like this. Session for what purpose? Session must have some purpose, no? It must be able to transact some business. What business will it transact? Will it pass laws when the new assembly has been voted for? I don't think governor should even give assent to any such resolutions of the assembly.
Thank you,
So therefore, I don't think it's a constitutional debate is where the government fails. Not when, because of the Election Commission's peculiar dates which are announced. That's a fortuitous circumstance. Constitution overrides all such fortuitous circumstances.